All right, I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting this Tuesday, November the 8th, 2022. Please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I'd like to welcome Reverend Mark Chambers tonight. Good evening.
Good evening. May we have a word of prayer. Holy Father, on this election day of 2022, we give you thanks that we can have freedom, that we can be here this evening for our own local government to discuss the things that we need, the things that we need to keep our city growing and be prosperous. We ask your blessings upon our leaders, and we pray that all that are in elections tonight and who are the future leaders that get elected, we do pray for them. We pray for all leaders that they will seek you first, seek your guidance in all that they say and do, and think of the welfare for all people, not themselves. And bless this time of gathering tonight to be a time of peace and harmony, that we can agree to disagree, but yet work together. For we are all Americans, and we are all citizens of Pittsburgh, and we give you that thanks. Watch over us and guide us. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. All right, I'd like to open public input. If there's anyone who'd like to come forward and speak, please step up to the podium, state your name and your address, and you have 5 minutes. All right. Seeing none, closing public input. Now I have a proclamation I'd like to read. If Amanda Keller could come forward. Or both of you, sorry, I didn't know there was somebody with you.
Yeah.
All right, from the office of the mayor of the city of Pittsburgh, Kansas. Children are the key to the state's future success, prosperity, and quality of life. All children and youth deserve a safe, loving family, yet there are nearly 500 children and teens in Kansas who are waiting to be adopted. Adoption creates a supportive, loving families for kids. Supportive families can help a youth overcome past traumatic experiences and reach their full potential. We must come together as a community to celebrate Kansas's foster and adoptive families and raise awareness about the number of children who are still waiting for their no matter what family. There are no restrictions on who can adopt based on race, ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation or expression, gender identity, or marital status. There is always a need for parents who are willing to adopt siblings, older youth, and young people with complex medical and behavioral needs. There are numerous individuals, nonprofit organizations, and public servants who are dedicated to finding families for children and teens in foster care who are waiting to be adopted. Now, therefore, I, Cheryl Brooks, Mayor of the City of Pittsburgh, Kansas, do hereby proclaim November 2022 as Adoption Month in Pittsburgh. Thank you. Thank you. If you'd like to say a few words.
Just that TFI appreciates and thanks the city of Pittsburgh for working with us to find safe and happy homes for children in need.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed? All right, item A, approval of the October 25th, 2022 City Commission meeting minutes. Item B, approval of ordinance number S-1090, granting an ad valorem tax exempt to Atkinson Industries Incorporated pursuant to the City of Pittsburgh's policy and procedures adopted November 10th, 1987, as authorized by Section 13, Article 11 of the Constitution of the State of Kansas, and authorize the mayor to sign the ordinance on behalf of the city. Item C, approval of staff recommendation of a second amendment to antenna collocation lease agreement with T-Mobile Central LLC, updating the lease to reflect the name change from Sprint to T-Mobile Central LLC, and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement on behalf of the city. Item D, approval of the application submitted by Brody Rink for water service outside the city limits for the property located at 773 South 196th Street. Item E, approval of change order number 1 for the East Quincy Street reconstruction project to represent the removal of 160 foot of existing fence at 929 East Quincy Street in order to construct new storm sewer and grading, the installation of 110 foot of temporary fence to be utilized as the storm sewer and new grade are being constructed, and the installation of 160 foot of chain link fence with a double gate after construction is completed, with the contract amount increasing to the amount of $2,546.25, making the new total contract amount $5,376,445.32, and authorize the mayor to sign the change order on behalf of the city. Item F, approval of change order number 4 for the 2022 Pittsburgh C-CLIP project to represent a deduction in the amount of $97,169.10 due to the deletion of concrete pads for the water valves and manholes, and a deduction of hot mix asphalt material, making the new total contract amount $1,140,992.27, and authorize the mayor to sign the change order on behalf of the city. Item G, approval of staff recommendation to waive the city's bid policy to purchase chemicals for the wastewater treatment plant, water treatment plant, and aquatic center for the upcoming contract year and/or until the market conditions have stabilized due to the market instability, and continue to work with current vendors and/or new vendors to ensure a constant supply of essential chemicals needed for the city's water requirements. And item H, approval of the appropriation ordinance for the period ending November 8th, 2022, subject to the release of HUD expenditures when funds are received. Do I have a motion to approve, or do I have a motion?
So moved to accept the consent agenda.
Motion by Don,
Second.
seconded by Stu and Chuck. Roll call vote?
Brooks.
Yes?
Height.
Yes.
McNay.
Yes.
Munsell.
Yes.
Sigley.
Okay, thank you. All right, now we have a special presentation, the City Hall Front Entry Project. Miranda Brenning, on behalf of Echelon Arch and Design, will present the final concept regarding the City Hall Front Entry Project. Good evening.
Thank you for having me here tonight. Do I have control of the presentation or up here?
You will soon.
That's fine.
Jay's coming.
I have a presentation for you. It has some imagery in it. If I go a little fast, I'm gonna try to be cognizant of your time, but if I go a little fast and you wanna re-look at an image, just let me know and I'll back up.
Okay.
No, it's not that budget.
Do you have it down here?
I have it on my computer. I emailed it in.
Email it?
Yeah. Okay. No, it's fine. Let me see. Okay, so we'll do this way. We have, some images. I've been working with Darren and some of the other staff
We can pull
to,
it up. It's gonna be way better on this.
Matt
Just give us 5 seconds, yeah. As a little lead in, this is obviously the continuation of the Plaza project that you all approved earlier in the year, where we took off the front steps and rebuilt them. And as we finished up, we realized that aesthetically, we had some more work to do. So Miranda's firm has graciously donated, I don't know how much time, but a considerable amount of time and some different concepts for you to look at so we can finish it the way that it deserves to be finished. There you go, Miranda.
all right, so the first thing that we're gonna kinda look at is, the landscaping portion. So I've broken this down into the different sections, so you can kinda see how those costs are allocated. The landscaping portion's about $18,667.12. This is the plan of the landscape, so there'll be beds at the perimeter of the building and then on the outside of the ramps. They'll be filled with a rock, so it'll be a decrease in the maintenance, and the plantings has been approved and looked at by staff members, so they know what's going in, and that they're okay with those types of plantings. The landscaping company was gracious enough to kind of overlay some imagery onto the existing buildings, so you can kind of see what the plantings will look like. This was done during the ramp construction, so you can see some of the formwork is still there, which obviously won't be there later, but this is kind of what they intend it to look like once the plants are mature and grown. The next item on that is the precast panels at the perimeter of the top of the building. They are quartz, and quartz is a naturally occurring material that is not porous. So it's not something that we could stain, which means that we're gonna have to do a coating, basically a paint. It's gonna be an elastomeric coating, so it has a very long longevity for maintenance, lifespan. So the work for that, they're gonna go in, you'll notice that there are the joints are cracking and deteriorating. So those joints will need to be removed since they have failed, and they'll put in new fill material. They'll clean it, put on the sealant, and the coatings, and we're intending for it to be a gray color, and you'll see that in some of the next slides. We went through, there's specific colors that they can use, and we've kind of narrowed down what we recommend a good color combination for the building package would be. The other part of that is a sealant on the brick. So since brick is a naturally porous material, you don't want to paint it unless you have to, because then it seals in and doesn't allow it to breathe and release the water. So we're using a breathable stain per se that you can put on the brick surfaces. This is going to be a light tan color is what we've kind of looked at, more on the limestone type visual. Again, they're going to clean the brick surfaces. The joints at the windows have failed, so all of the caulking around your window and the sealants around your windows are starting to show their age. So the joint replacement's looking about $11,514. They'll stain the entire exterior of your building for $37,244. And we're going to start looking at before and after images like this. So the smaller image at the top obviously is before, and then I have overlaid some of the colors that we're suggesting on the after. So these are the north faces of your building. This is the south face of the building. And then your east face. And these also have the landscaping in it, so you could see what that would look like as well. The last thing that we were looking at doing was doing the same type of elastomeric coating system on the concrete stem walls. During the process of building the new ramps, there were some deductions taken in the value engineering process to get that project in budget. But the forms of the ramps have left marks on the ramps that are not necessarily eye appealing. And so we are going to provide this coating on those ramps to help even out the visual, so it will be more of a monotonous color as opposed to one that has a line work in it where all the form work is still visible. That color we are matching as the panel color above the facade for those precast panels, so it'll tie in and coordinate that way. And so your total project cost, again outlined into those categories, comes to a total of $107,357.10. That includes your work is all going to be done by Mid-Continent Restoration, so a very reputable company, and then a local landscaping company. The only additional cost that you would have is just having our firm come out and manage the construction management of this, making sure the job's done the way it's intended to be done. So we'll just do that on an hourly basis to keep the cost down for you, and that's, like I said, the only additional cost that we would foresee outside this. And I will leave it up to you for any questions that you might have.
So you're it indicated that Mid-Continent wouldn't be able to start till March.
Yes,
What
so
do you-
scheduling wise, because of their current schedule with people who have already booked their services and with weather taken into consideration, it has to be a certain temperature for a certain amount of time before they can actually do these kind of treatments. that March is going to be when they're gonna be able to start that. Landscaping, we have looked into it. Landscaping can start as soon as they get the purchase order. It'll take a couple weeks to get the materials and product in, and then they can go ahead and plant it. What that's going to do, as far as mid-continent, obviously you have landscaping in the way of the bricks. So we talked to them about that, and they said they have included in their price the equipment it would take to be able to boom over the grass that's been planted and the plants that are there so they don't damage them, and be able to do their work as well. So they've already taken that into consideration.
And the length of the project, when they get started approximately?
Yeah, so the landscaping won't take but a couple weeks to do, and then the same with the painting. Again, it won't take but a couple weeks to do, but it'll just be the dead time between the start and finish of those.
What do you mean by booming over with the equipment?
So,
Because-
a man lift, they'll have to have, it's so high that they can put scaffolding out there, but if they have to come in with any kind of lift system, instead of driving over the grass and then killing the grass or putting ruts in, they'll have something that has a lift that gets them out over that. So that way they can get, against your building from a distance without having to damage or get on your lawn.
Is the weight of the equipment gonna matter on the existing sidewalks out front?
They've taken that into consideration.
So what you're asking for is another $107,000 to
Yes.
complete it, with not in the original bid.
Correct. The original bid only included the ramp itself and reconstructing the stairs and the ramp portion of that, along with the sod and the grass out in that area, but landscaping was removed from that for value engineering.
So Darren, would these funds also come from COVID recovery?
I would hope so. I mean, that would be my recommendation.
Okay.
Obviously, we could spend them from a variety of places, but we have, of course, Marissa's hiding behind the one handout we have. I think we have 3.1 million and we've spent 4. So yeah, this would, if we did this, we'd have about 2.6 left, which would be, that would be our recommendation. Would definitely be-
Will the landscaping be going in anytime soon? Will it try to get it in this fall or not till?
So it takes them 2 weeks to get their materials in from the date of purchase or receiving the purchase order. So it would be going in here this fall within the next, month or so.
And that's probably advantageous to get it started.
Yep, so they said that I asked them, does this current weather affect the planting of it? And they said this would be one of the best times to plant what they're considering for this project, so.
If not for that, I would think it'd be almost easier to wait for the landscape until it's all done, but I think it's probably better for the long-term health of the plant probably to do it now.
And the other thought was too, once you have the ramp finished, if it's still kind of bare out there, the landscaping will allow it to have that look of completeness or finished project as well a little earlier, so.
I think it looks really good, and I think it's a nice compliment to our neighbors to the east and what's going on downtown, and it's a nice compliment to what's happening.
I do have one question. Putting in landscaping as dry as weather as we have, and who's gonna take care of the landscaping after it's put in?
So it will be on the city to maintain that, and so we talked with them when we were providing the cost for landscaping on what plantings would be best, what type of mulching or, bed material would be best, and so we've looked at doing the rock that you currently do in some of your other areas, parks and buildings, as well as doing landscaping and vegetation that is easy to maintain and doesn't take a lot of work.
I just know that planting usually takes a lot of water and keeping up with it, so that's why I was just concerned, especially with the amount we're spending. Okay, thank you.
I would move to approve if there's no other discussion.
Motion by Stu. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Don. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All 5-0, it passes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Miranda.
Yes.
Thank you.
You've done a lot of work on this.
That'll look really nice. All right, moving on to consider the following. Mount Olive Cemetery Service Agreement. Consider staff recommendation to approve the Mount Olive Cemetery Service Agreement between the City of Pittsburgh and Notch 8 LLC, in which Notch 8 LLC will provide maintenance and repair services at the Mount Olive Cemetery.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. We're seeking approval for a service agreement with Notch H to help revitalize the cemetery in several ways. And this is a partnership that will benefit all parties in the future.
Will this include straightening all the stones out there?
Yes,
And
there's,
adding base to them so they don't do it again?
yes, there's approximately almost 40 acres of stones out there. I'm not sure what year the city inherited the cemetery, but it was not in great condition when we got it. We've had 2 caretakers work as hard as they can to try to make it right, and they've done a good job, but it's just a pretty gargantuan task to do that. So I think Notch H8 can bring the resources needed to expedite that process.
What about the Abbey?
There will be work done on that too.
Okay.
Toby, is there anybody from Notch 8 here?
I thought Kevin Anselmi was supposed to be here, but I didn't see him and I haven't communicated with him, so I don't know.
Could you talk a little bit about this agreement so people that in the audience or at home might understand the length of terms of this agreement and how long is it for?
It's basically a 5-year agreement to provide the services indicated in agreement, the maintenance of the stones, mowing. The city will still take care of the burial process. I think that is very important that we keep the records, we do the deeds. That is something that, we've done, and we don't want, that's one process that's not an easy fix if something goes wrong. So we wanna kind of keep our hands on that to make sure it's done, to our standards.
Yeah,
How much-
and
how much
at the end of
available
that
space?
5 years, there's a possibility to extend that agreement, and probably too soon now to even talk about.
I think it'd be a little early to commit to 6 years from now and see how, where we're at. I'm sure that probably in year 2 or 3, we'll have a good idea of what we want to do going forward with that.
I've seen in this contractor, Toby, that a lot of the equipment the city already has, that will be available.
Yes, there is equipment out there that is housed, that is shared between the Parks Department, Mount Olive Cemetery. Obviously, if it's needed out there, it's just, it'll be a scheduling issue. A lot of the day-to-day equipment will stay there, mowers, obviously the funeral service stuff is not needed anywhere else in the city, so that's gonna stay full-time. So it's a partnership, so I think it's just a matter of scheduling and making sure that they have what's needed to do the job, and, if we need it and it's not being used, the Parks Department will trailer it back and use it where they need it.
Like our mowers and stuff you're talking about?
Mowers will stay.
They will what?
The mowers will stay
And-
out there at all times.
And that's Notch will use that?
Yes.
The mowers? That's my question. So we will continue to fund the equipment as it ages out. So the mowers and stuff,
Yeah, we need to keep, this is going to end, and when it ends, we're going to have the equipment, everything that we have currently. So the agreement is just to get through the 5 years, leave the equipment out there to be used by whoever's doing the service at that time, and obviously replacing it as we would do anyway. So when we get to 5 years, we're not having to go back and start all over again with buying equipment.
thanks.
Yep. How many plots are available?
We have approximately a little over 1,400 burial plots left. The Abbey will have, I can't remember the number, but there are a lot of available spaces there. And then obviously the cremation niches, that seems to be the route a lot of people are going. So that's an opportunity for us to grow that in a big way.
I'm looking at the service fees and schedules. It says monthly. So the rate is $17,500 a month?
Yes.
That's the 210 annual, we took the 210,000 that we agreed to and just divided it by 12, that's the 17.5. But there will be additional costs in case we get into, we don't really have a history of putting stone straightening and all that business, so we have committed that up to a certain amount, we'll provide dirt and backfill as we need to, but if it gets out of control, one reason it's kind of in the shape it's in is we don't have an endless supply of money to run a cemetery and maintain it properly. So we're gonna have to keep an eye on that as we go month to month, and if they spend over that I think it's $2,500 a month over that 17.5. They'll have to get pre-approval from us, and we'll just have to monitor it, so we don't get out of control with the spending.
I think it sounds like a great project. Much needed. Fill up those spaces. Okay, do I have any other discussion? Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Approved by Chuck. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second by Ron. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Toby.
Thanks, Toby. Good work.
All right. Next item, we're going to, Adam Bradshaw could not be here, and I'd like to make a motion to table this till next time.
So moved.
Moved by me, seconded by Ron. All those in favor? Aye. All right, moving on there. Then item C, Nisler Mortgage Release. Consider the recommendation of the Economic Development Advisory Committee to release the mortgage against property located at 915 North Broadway, owned by Dexter and Jennifer Nisler, and the Nislers have satisfied the city's requirement to have their city loan forgiven in the mortgage release.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the
Blake.
commission. As you mentioned, this is a request we brought to you in 2018 to support a major renovation of the property at 915 North Broadway, as you just mentioned. It was structured as a forgivable loan predicated on what was projected to be a project investment of $250,000. So it was structured as a forgivable loan because the Nislers needed the money on the front end. So when we do that, the city takes a second position until the project is done and the applicant is able to show that they spent what they said they were going to. The project is now done. The Nislers have submitted all of their receipts. It easily exceeds $250,000. So we bring to you a recommendation from the EDAC that now we release the city's second position on the property. We'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Anyone? All right, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Stu. Do I have a second?
Second?
Seconded by Ron. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Blake.
Thank you very much.
Looks really good, too. All right, item D, zoning change, 211 West 11th Street. Consider the recommendation of the Planning Commission Board of Zoning Appeals to approve the request submitted by CDL to change the zoning of 211 West 11th from R1C, Single Family Residential, to IP3, Planned Heavy Industrial.
Hello, Mayor, Commissioners, good evening. CDL is requesting the zoning change because they're needing to use that property for parking vehicles and equipment. If approved, the area would be gravelled, would be fenced with chain link and mesh to keep it looking nice. And Tom Hayes is here in representation of CDL.
Now, that property is, on three sides, has got residential.
Correct.
Why are we putting a heavy industrial in the center of a residential area?
It's owned by CDL at the current time. It's across the street, and they're needing it as they grow for storage of vehicles and equipment.
So they don't have enough room where they are, is it?
Correct.
Yeah, they definitely don't have enough room where they are. This has been a plan that's been in the works for a while. I think they bought the two houses and raised them, but yeah, I would hate to speak for them, but I know they're constantly talking to us about additional space, and they want to keep as much of it they can as contiguous to where they are.
And you've covered all the residents in the area for the noise, you've talked to them about noise and moving of big vehicles in and out of that area?
They've all been notified before the
Well,
plan.
notified is one thing, but have you gotten their opinions of it?
Did anybody come to the hearing?
We did, Mr. and Mrs. Gibson, who live at 209 West 10th, did come to the Planning and Zoning Board meeting.
And what was their concerns?
That it would create, it's across the street from their residence, and that it would create an industrial, I guess, view of their home, from their
How did
home.
the planning and zoning board,
They voted 4-1.
and what was the one for, against? Was there a reason for that?
I didn't have a reason for it.
So this is residential neighborhood,
Yes,
and we want to change it to put heavy equipment right in the front yard, basically. I can understand CDL growing, but, you know, I can understand if people want to maintain their residence too. I wouldn't want something like that across the street from me. I was just wondering, we have a new industrial park, why wasn't any thought given to them finding space out there if they need more space.
Well, I think the concept is expanding where they currently are. I realize it's residential around there, but I don't think that's a new building. I think that industry has been in this town for a long time, so it's just simply, it's a difficult question because it's where residential, I mean, we don't have the luxury of unplanning where all the industry in town is. We have Masonite and several people right in the middle of a neighborhood over there, and as you remember, MPIX has continued to buy residences and expand. I mean, I think they want to, most of these businesses, it's clear they want to keep their location where they are. They don't want to have annexes everywhere. So I think that's probably what's driving this request. But you're definitely right. It's always that question of, you know, as they approach residential. I don't think we want to get into who was there first because I don't know how long the McNally's was there, but it's definitely, they're running out of space, and it's a good question, but I don't think they have any desire to open up a second plant off-site in one of the industrial plants, which isn't really very close. There's not one in the proximity, so.
Kim, could you share again what their fencing plan is?
Yes, they stated the lot would be gravelled, and then it would be fenced with chain link, and then the mesh covering on the outside.
Okay, so it would be somewhat shielded.
Yes.
Tom, do you have anything to add? Or?
Well, I can answer any questions.
Well, please come
Yeah,
up,
no.
Tom.
Are we able to pull up the map on the screen by chance, or the projector?
Oh, I'm sure we can pull up any map if you
Okay.
give us.
So,
That way-
so to give you an idea,
60 seconds.
it's just south of the property where CDL is located. They've owned that property for some time. So right now, they're housing that equipment really through an agreement with Farabi's on the Pepsi side, which is just to the east of the property. So it's the same equipment, but when we house it there, it's not fenced, it's an open lot. We've had major equipment stolen off that lot of significance. Fortunately, it was located in Arkansas, so we've made some recovery of that. So the idea was to utilize that lot, and it's two houses that would be residential. The other two sides of it is just open street, and it's just adjacent to the CDL property. It would be fenced and then line fence, you know, so there's no view or, you know, looks good. And landscaping, there would be some camera surveillance inside, not outside, so that if anyone went in there, you know, to protect the equipment. CDL is right now, just this year, has added 75 new employees and is looking at adding more because of some developments. And, you know, most of those people work and live here in the city, and to protect the equipment. They work, they report to work, they can get the equipment, they leave in the morning. A lot of times they're gone for a week before they bring it back, because they're doing different projects throughout the country. And so it's not in and out all the time. So it's really a facility to just house those type of equipment. And, you know, we try to minimize anything, you know, we're community members as well, and so we want to make sure it's as good for the people around that. We provide them notice and stuff, but it's something, if we are to protect our equipment and to grow, we need this facility and to protect it as best we can and make it as good as we can.
Did you have surveillance on the equipment where it was original?
We got it off the Pepsi.
But you're in the security business, so you didn't have any cameras?
We're not in the security, but Uplink does it now. We had cameras, we knew that they did it, and we utilized their camera and we saw we didn't see who took it, but we saw it taken, you know, by utilization of those cameras, which we installed for Pepsi.
Well, Mayor, I'd like to listen to, I think they're here, the homeowners that were at the planning zone. I'd just like to hear what they have to say, what their thoughts are.
Kim, you know the picture in the packet that was a bigger expanded version? Would you I could give you this to put up there that's kind of a small one, so people could see around it.
Yep.
Maybe if you just put that one there, because it shows around it. I had a couple questions. Thank you.
If you have any questions, I'll be glad to take them.
What, okay, can you make it north to where it's like, yeah, no, you was right. Yeah, perfect. So, yeah, can you, so people will know where CDL's building is? Yeah, okay. And then across the street to the west is the city grounds right there. Okay, so we kind of got a perspective. All right, so the ground directly to the west of the red box here, does CDL own any of that property? Tom?
On this side?
Yeah, does CDL own any of that property?
Where at?
Just to the west of the red?
No.
No.
That's all city
Okay,
property.
what about to the east of the red box?
No.
No, okay,
This building here is a CDL building. Totally, where am I at? This is up this thing?
that's a lot, yeah,
Okay, yeah.
okay,
So right here, this is CDL. This is the lot we use from Pepsi.
that's,
And things are still in place.
it's quite a large area. Thanks.
And really, as this exists now, even though CDL owns all this, only this part is gonna be fenced. See, the fence will continue right here.
Oh,
This is not gonna be fenced.
Okay.
It's been, no, the house, there's no.
Oh,
There's
okay.
a house back here, but CDL owns that lot right to here. And what they've done is remove trees and landscape that.
I see, so where the star is, that's just the area that's fenced.
Correct.
Everything behind it to the south is not, so.
Correct.
Across the street is where the Gibson's property was what you were talking?
Are they over here? Yeah.
Okay, so there's no fence that comes all the way up to, what is that, West 10?
Correct.
Okay.
Are there any other people here that are interested in talking?
Any other questions? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve?
Well, I'd like to hear from Candy Gibson on her thoughts of,
Okay.
since she's owns property in a residential area, what she might have to say.
Well, we brought up noise, and I talked to Larry Seward the other day, and he told me there would be no heavy equipment parked there, that they would keep the noise down. And that was one of our concerns, was the noise. And you mentioned just 11th Street. When we went to the zoning meeting, they talked about zoning from 10th to 11th on Walnut. And if they do that, then any time they can do whatever they want on 10th Street. So that's one of our concerns.
They're just gonna fence that.
Yes, but are you
Yes, that whole
rezoning
zone.
the whole
Yes,
thing?
yes.
You're but that's not what you said. You said 11th Street. When
This-
you first started talking, you talked about 11th Street. You didn't mention 10th Street.
So is it the outline of the red that's all being rezoned?
Yes.
The outline of the red is rezoned, but the fence is only on the square part where the star
Square
is
part.
this way.
But
So
if they rezone the whole thing, there's nothing to keep them from doing something on 10th Street, which is where we live.
Tom, can you speak to that? Why are you asking for the zoning beyond the,
I
what would
think
be
that what they did was.
the fenced area?
Excuse me. They asked for the zoning to include where the red is. If I may. Can you see the red on that? Not very well.
Not very well.
It's okay.
Well, this kind of displays us, the reason they asked for that is because that's the property that CDL owns.
Right.
Okay? So it would go to,
10th.
the zoning would go to 10, but you probably saw the poles up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we saw where they're putting those.
Which-
Our concern is, there's only one house there. that they would have to do something with to make that whole area commercial.
Right. And so,
And so that's our concern, is
and you live out across the street?
we live right here.
Okay.
Where?
Where do the Gibsons live? I'm
We
sorry,
live
I'm not.
209 West 10th.
They live,
We're on,
let me point here so they can
Or
see that.
if,
we're on the east side of the walking trail on 10th Street.
Over here.
Okay.
is Tom pointing to the right spot?
Yeah, we're on the east side of the walking trail,
East side of the walking.
Right here is the walking trail.
yeah.
Okay.
There's a little tiny house that CDL owns, and they fixed that up. It looks really nice. And and the house across the street is decent. It looks nice. You know, but our concern, partly is the noise. You know, and we're not the only residents in that area. We're just the local ones.
Right. No, but we would be subject to any noise ordinances that exist, right?
You know,
So,
and my concern is if you zone, because she brought up 11th Street, so I was kind of more at ease. But if they zone from 10th to 11th, there's nothing to keep CDL from doing something commercial on 10th and Walnut, that quarter of a block. So that's my concern.
yeah, subject to, so I appreciate the concern there. I believe as we construct it, that it's gonna be minimized as far as where the fence is, where the, equipment's gonna be located. We're subject to any noise ordinances, so if there's a complaint about noise, we'd be subject to keep that down and everything and keeping it proper. With respect to, anything else that would be built or done, that would have to go through the city for permitting, and at which time the council would have the ability to approve or disapprove that as well.
There is a house west of the walking trail that's back from the street, and there are residents that own their home back there.
Right, and they've been notified.
Yeah.
So is it basically a laydown yard for?
It's a
for-
lay-down yard.
It's not rolling big trucks and, I mean, I'm just, I'm trying to think of the noise issue
Well,
and the
you
disturbance.
mentioned equipment. You
Yeah.
know, we understood when they went to the zoning committee that it was just gonna be storage for supplies and stuff, not, you know,
Will there be trailers? There would be some trailers and equipment in there, and the trailers would move occasionally,
Right.
1 or 2 times a week, in and out of there,
When
just
you
like
say
they do
equipment,
behind there.
So equipment could be, a car could be equipment and a piece of steel could be equipment.
Correct.
When you're saying equipment, are you talking about?
see, I'm
which
thinking
are-
trucks.
Yeah,
No,
Yeah,
we don't have any
yeah.
semi-trucks or anything like that.
yeah, Ms. Gibson,
There
I
would-
think is concerned with giant trucks coming in and
The
out
other
there all
day,
day
they were
long.
doing stuff over there that was really, really noisy. I don't know what they were doing, but it was really, really noisy.
Where? On that property?
Across the street from that property.
Oh, I mean, at CDL?
Yeah,
Well, we build a lot of things,
yeah.
so,
And that was a block away.
but we're not building anything on this property.
Okay,
So the machinery that makes wire systems and makes signal systems for railroads, none of that is gonna occur on this
It will be
property.
operating there.
Right, it's only a lay-down yard for equipment storage.
okay, now, what are you going to do to camouflage the chain link fence? Because when they brought it to the zoning committee, they said they were gonna put those red strips through there, and they're nasty, they look awful.
What color do you want?
They were awful. They look awful.
Well, there's siding strips for fencing that's available. I mean, we'd make it as most aesthetic as we can. So it hasn't been ordered. I mean,
So think about that when you're doing it.
well, we will. I mean, I'd even go to you and ask you what your opinion is.
Because the red strips, if you look at the fence that's on
The CDL property?
Yeah, it looks pretty bad.
Okay.
Kim, was there much discussion that night on this issue at all, as far as between the committee members?
No.
Any concerns?
There was a little,
Voice your opinion, of course, and your thoughts.
we were the only ones there,
That came.
and one comment that was made by, I think it was Dexter, was, well, CDL is the largest employer in town. You know, well, you know, I understand they're a big business, but we're residents. I've lived in Pittsburgh all my life, and I've lived in that house all my life. So we're not trying to impede progress, but we want to kind of protect our space too.
Sure.
I guess is what I'm.
You know, we appreciate that. So to the extent that we can make what we have even better, you know, and I think you talked to Larry.
Yeah, I talked to Larry and he was very nice and he, you know, he said they have no intention of doing anything, but I'm a little nervous with, you know, zoning all of it and that, I'm just a little bit nervous about it.
Right. I mean,
Well, being that you talked to Larry, he's usually a man of his word. Do you feel like that if there was ever a problem, you could call him or Tom?
He also said he doesn't know what all goes on in the company.
Oh.
but I'm there now.
But
and I-
I'm
and I
pretty sure
do.
that Tom would be.
And I do.
So I need your phone number.
Yeah, I will give it to you. Yeah,
So-
and, you know, to move any further, I mean, the whole reason for this is, and I don't want to get into too much, but we were in the midst of potentially getting a huge project that will facilitate growth and jobs and stuff like that. We had to move things out of our north lot in order to provide capacity for this new project, and we had to go through that in order to provide that. You know, when Larry bought this, I never thought he would fill up McNally's. And we're, you know, at the seams, as you can tell, because we have to move a lay-down yard over on this facility. The bad thing is, it pushes in there, you know, to them. The good thing is, you know, it provides growth and stuff like that. So there's some tension there, but we want to make sure the tension is as easy as can be for the citizens and the community.
Tom, where
Yes,
will
sir.
the entrance be? Will it be on 11th or on 10th Street?
Probably on 11.
Yeah,
on the
it'll be,
11th is here.
yes. Just across from where,
It won't be on Walnut.
no,
So
so it'd be right
it'll be right there.
there.
So, and the road system there is adequate to carry?
Yeah, right now, if you see this big lot here, right now, that lot has been cleared for a lot of laydown for this new project. A lot of equipment there. And this is an unsafe area for storage. And so we either, I mean, we just, unless the city wants to give some of its property.
Tom,
Yes, sir.
the
Yes.
current equipment that's being stored on the Pepsi lot, that's what will be relocated, so that gives you an idea of
Pretty much.
what will be
Yep.
there. Okay.
So Candy, do you feel a little bit more comfortable tonight listening to what Tom has to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to come to express our concerns.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
And if they make too much noise, you let somebody know, I'm sure.
I'm gonna get his phone number.
And we do that, it's a complaint-driven, noise ordinance.
It is.
And so if it is too noisy or too early or whatever, call them or call me and I'll tell these guys that,
I just kinda hate for, you know, since it goes from 10th to 11th on Walnut, that's a very visible, and there are people across the street from Walnut that they have done quite a bit to their house too, so, you know, it's just a concern, how much are you gonna keep taking, I guess, is one of the
well,
concerns.
yeah, well.
Who
we take
knows
any
what the
more,
future
we'll be
holds.
Right back here, right?
Yeah, okay,
And we would let you know, I mean, we have to provide notice.
but you're the biggest dog in town, so you
Yeah,
have clout
our
that I
right,
don't have.
our rights are no more greater than any other citizen that wants the same thing for them, so.
Okay.
Based on the planning and zoning recommendation, I would move to approve the request.
Any other discussion?
I just, once again, Candy, you're all right with what you heard tonight?
Well, I can't say I know I've lost the battle, but I have personal concerns.
Sure.
I would second.
Moved by Stu, seconded by Don. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nay?
Yeah. Those
Okay.
opposed?
All right, so can we do a roll call?
Brooks?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
McNay?
Yes?
Munsell?
No.
Sigley?
No.
All right. Kim, I have that paper. Okay, yeah, all right. Thank you, I appreciate that. Okay, lost my place here. Conditional use permit request. Consider the recommendation of the Planning Commission Board of Zoning Appeals to approve a conditional use permit request submitted by Pamela Hudson to allow chickens at 1231 East 11th Street under the provisions of Article 30 of the Pittsburgh zoning ordinance.
And Pamela is here. She is wanting a small flock of chickens in her backyard. As you said, the address is 1231 East 11th Street. Planning and zoning approved it 4-1 with conditions, and I'll read those. That she has no more than 6 chickens. Fencing is required at the top of the chicken coop and yard. Chickens are to remain enclosed unless accompanied by the property owner, Pamela, and no reported issues to animal control. If any of these conditions are violated, the conditional use permit can be revoked. Any questions?
It's funny, the things that pop up when you serve. Chickens has been something that people have called me about over the years.
Yes, I
And,
think they're more common than people think.
Yeah, and.
We had
and
goats also, Dawn, if you remember that one.
Goats, yes, we did. And we've had citizens that have been asked to get rid of their chickens because it didn't meet the ordinance. So I hate to piecemeal this because there are gonna be individuals who are gonna wonder how they could have, fought for their chickens, so.
What does the ordinance say as far as
So
animals
if
of
it's
that size?
less than an acre, you have to apply for a conditional use permit. And her property is 0.35 of an acre, so it is less than an acre.
And the fact that she's came before the board knowing that she was gonna have 6, where there are people that have chickens and other things that have not asked permission or otherwise, and if nobody's complained, they just go about. So, are there any questions on at all otherwise?
Were there any comments from neighbors?
Yes, Will and Linda Nigaman, who live at 1401 East 12th Street, had written a letter just saying they did not want chickens in their neighborhood.
What's the proximity from their house to hers?
This just-
Jay, can you help
Jay.
Jim with the tag?
Did you have the same map
You guys have it in your packet.
expanded?
So they're,
What was their address?
they're the 1401 East 12th Street, so they're
14.
right here. And this is her backyard. This is water.
Okay. There's a considerable distance between her and them?
Yes.
Ma'am, would you like to add anything? You're here.
There are already 2 houses,
Can you step, if you don't step clear up, sorry, they're not gonna hear you.
This is Pam.
Thank you.
2 houses in this 2-block area that have chickens and ducks, and one of them also has rabbits and a goat. The goat is in the front yard, anybody can drive by and see it.
So when the chickens are in the pen, there's an enclosure on the roof too?
Completely enclosed like a cube of wire.
So,
Open at the bottom so they can scratch around in the ground.
so when, like, me and Doc wondered, if they're not in the pen, when you're accompanying the chickens, where do you take them?
Well, when I have a garden right next to where their area will be, and it's enclosed and fenced too. And when I'm out there with them and want them in the garden, there'll be times when I won't, because they pick at everything, you know. I'll let them in there to pick around at bugs, because I'm an organic gardener, and so I don't use pesticides, and they're the best pest control going. So
And,
that's really what I want them for.
I know if they're in the garden at dark and you got your pen open, they're gonna go to the coop.
Well, they won't be able to go out of it.
No, I mean, even if they were to get out at dark, they would, and you had a way for them to get back to the coop, they would go to the coop. I know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
If they get out at dark, there's gonna be a fox that's gonna take it.
That's why they go to the coop.
Yeah, I'm very protective of
Oh, yeah,
the chickens, and also the house they'll be in, it's pleasant. It's gonna be painted to look just like the house and the garage. So it's not gonna be tacky and just thrown together.
You won't have any roosters though, right?
If I can, I will have one. If I can't, I won't.
Can we have roosters on the ordinance, or, no, no roosters? No, you can't have roosters.
Okay.
You have to take them out of town to get a boyfriend, so.
So, Mrs. Hudson, how did you realize that you needed to come before us for a variance? What infor-
Well, I called the city, the office, and asked, I don't know.
How to do it?
Talked to several people,
Okay.
and they told me what I needed to do, and I forget her name, but sent me a packet of,
Sure.
Deanna.
Yeah.
A packet of forms to fill out and told me which one I needed to fill out. So, and then I followed all of the legal procedures because I just wouldn't do this and not be legal. If the city says I can't, I won't. But I'm not gonna make a nuisance for the neighbors. The neighbors on the east side of me already know about my plans. They have no objections. And the people across the street, they don't object.
We
I was surprised
say.
that anyone objected because there's already so many in the neighborhood.
Well, we appreciate you following
Yes.
the
Thank
correct
you.
path.
I wish
Yeah.
everyone would do what you did.
Yeah.
We may
We
have,
appreciate that.
we may
Well,
have,
I
thank you.
move to accept.
I second the motion.
Moved by Doc, seconded by Chuck. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Motion passes.
we have a rash of chicken.
Yes. Okay, lost my place here. Let's see. Okay, item F, moving on. Axon Taser 7 purchase request. Consider staff recommendation to purchase 55 Taser 7 electronic control weapons and other related items from Axon Enterprises Incorporated of Scottsdale, Arizona, in the total amount of $240,040, utilizing funds from the public safety sales tax, with $235,000 of the cost to be reimbursed to the city by the Bureau of Justice Assistance Fiscal Year 2022 Burn Discretionary Community Project Funding Burn Discretionary Grants Program. Good evening, guys.
Commissioners. In August of this year, we received confirmation that we have been approved for a $235,000 federal discretionary award to be used as a project to replace the tasers within the police department. To that end, we're coming to you guys tonight for authorization to move forward to the next phase, which is the final purchase from Axon, Taser's parent company. We're hoping to use this as a project to acquire 55 new tasers for the entire department, plus some training aids to include a hook and loop suit for like physical hands-on training, and a virtual reality deconfliction training system that we're really very excited about. This is going to be predicated on a 5-year program where once a year for 5 years, we're going to cover the software licensing and hardware maintenance of the TASER program. Plus once a year, we're going to receive replacement cartridges for our tasers, both training and field use. And also, once a year for 5 years, 2 staff members will receive training. One will be sent to a master level certification course with TASER. One will be sent to a basic certification level course with TASER, and that's going to be, again, once a year for 5 years. The total cost of this project is going to be $240,040 with $235,000 federal reimbursement funds coming back to the city. So ultimately, the city of Pittsburgh will be out $5,040, and we're hoping to use the public safety sales tax fund if allowed for this. Now, if any of you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those, as would Lieutenant Chris Moore, our TASER instructor for the police department.
I have a question. Per gun, or per taser, you're looking at $4,364. I can buy that same thing online right now at $1,600. So what's the rest of the money being used for?
You cannot buy the same taser online. The Taser 7 is law enforcement specific, and so.
That's the CQ, right?
You can buy the Taser 7 is law enforcement specific. Axon does have tasers that you can purchase, but they do not function in the same way as the law enforcement tasers do.
Okay, better look online.
Yeah, so I have a little experience personally on this from just having the university police go through the same thing. It is, you're correct, Doc, it's, breaking it out, total cost, it is about 5,000 units, actually about 2,500 per unit, I think, but with all the training aids.
Well, that's what I was asking.
So I think the
Is
training
rest of
aids,
it for the
yeah, you're just
administration,
lumping it all
training
into
aids
one,
and
and
stuff like that.
if you divide that by 55, then it's like 5, but it's,
What also is included too with this is unlimited cartridges.
yes.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Those are very
cartridge, so right
expensive.
now, a cartridge costs $48 a piece. So every time we tase someone, it costs $48. So the new cartridges are twice as expensive. So now we have unlimited cartridges, and all I have to provide to Axon is our firing logs on what's going on and why we use it, and it's a description, it's all logged with the system. So every time the trigger is pulled on a taser, it's logged. So I just email that to the taser rep, and then they send us the taser cartridges I request every month.
Now, and tell me what you're doing again, you're gonna have a master user? How many masters, everybody should be a master user, right?
Master trainer.
So right now, I'm a taser instructor. I started the taser program in 2012 in Pittsburgh, and I'm the only instructor on the department. So I will send one officer to fill my spot, and I will go to master instructor school. Master instructor school also means that I can not only teach at Pittsburgh Police Department, but I can also teach at other agencies throughout the country.
And that's included in this?
That's included in the price.
What happened to the tasers we have now, Ben? What will be done with those?
We're trading them in.
Trading them back?
Trading them back into Axon, yes.
So you get some kind of a price cut on that?
Yes.
But have you thought about maybe seeing if there are any smaller departments might be in need of-
Tasers are specific to departments. So I can't give a taser to another department, even like we do with our vests and stuff, because those tasers are registered to us. So if another department was to use them, they can't re-register those tasers, because each one of those tasers on our department is actually assigned to an officer via a serial number, and then also through the Pittsburgh Police Department through taser. So I can't take another taser and give it to another department.
And I think, Chuck, that that particular model is the same, it's about to be phased out, right?
Yeah, and the model we carry, the
So
X2
that's
is
why
getting phased
turning
out.
them in, they're not worth much, turning them out.
Yes.
And it says they're 8 years old, so what's the life of a taser? Is 8 years pretty much the?
Well, 2014, with 2012 we started, we got our tasers in 2014, and we're starting to have some issues with them. And we've been pretty lucky at Pittsburgh. We've only had 2 or 3 that failed, that I've had to fix, and actually 1 in the entire history that we've had to send back to Axon to get replaced.
What's the warranty then?
The warranty will cover the entire 5 years that we have this contract.
And after that 5 years, you'll get new ones again? Or hopefully?
It's kind of how
We'll
Axon's
try to locate
going.
another funding source again
Yes.
if possible.
The biggest component of this breakout is our training. With the virtual reality, an officer can use our overlap session and come in and check out the virtual reality with me, and I can set up different use of force scenarios with them, not only with the taser, but firearm. Because it actually comes with a inert firearm with this taser too. And then also when I teach this class, because every officer in the department has to go through taser class once a year, no matter what, it's part of our policy. And so when they go through this taser class now, instead of actually shooting a taser at a target that's just standing in our garage, we will be able to have a live person in a suit that they can shoot, and we can put in different positions and different scenarios to make the officers more real-world situations.
Axon's done a really good job with their marketing and finding a way to get in all law enforcement budgets as a line item, just because they're the only show in town really when it comes to electronic control devices, so tasers. So, I think it's a great, plan, and with the grant, gosh, we couldn't ask for better timing of that to be able to utilize that, and the public safety sales tax as well, so. If there's
Move
no
to
more,
accept.
second.
Moved by Doc, seconded by Stu. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, guys. Appreciate it. Good luck.
Good job, guys.
All right, non-agenda reports and requests. Bi-monthly budget review. Director of Finance Larissa Bowman will provide the October 31st, 2022 bi-monthly budget review.
Good
evening.
evening, Mayor and Commissioners. So tonight, I'm here to give an update on the city finances as of October 31st. We are 83% through the year, and we have received all of our tax distributions from the county. We had a collection rate this year of 98%, which is good. We started the year out with a little over 20.3 million in the bank, and we are showing 27.2 balance at the end of October. So overall, our funds are looking healthy, and at this time, I don't really see any reasons to do any budget amendments on expenditures. And sales tax is up 14.03% compared to the same time last year. So everything's right on track for end of the year, and if you have any questions.
I have just one.
Yes.
The percent received, some of those numbers are really high, like 221%, 221. Can you elaborate a
So,
little
like-
bit about that?
Yes, so like on the revolving fund that has the 221, that's because we had sold some land that we had, and that's, that income coming
Sure.
in is on there.
If we sell land, if we buy land through the revolving loan fund, then when we sell it, instead of putting it in the general fund, we pay back the revolving loan fund, so. We don't sell it very often, but when we do, we get 220% of the revenue back that year.
Yeah, it doesn't
Sure.
happen very often.
Well, there was 3 categories besides that big one right there that had 100%, 106, and 101. So,
6, street, highway, I mean, that's, just the funds coming in from the state have been higher than what we expected. We have a connecting link and a state highway aid that comes through, and that's, all comes from the state.
sure. Well, thank you. Is there any other questions? All right. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Greatly
Appreciate
appreciate it.
Good job, Larissa. Keep it green.
Is there any other, anything, Darren? No? All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Nobody wants to go home?
Second?
Moved by Don, seconded by Doc. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Have a great night, everyone. We are adjourned.